Okay, Heroin Church. I have okay, whatever. I might this might not be clear. I might clarify later. So let me talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that you brought up. Now, yeah, it is not from a lack of considering the questions that I have my position. Remember, yeah, I'm 43 years old, and now I thought young that answering the questions of suicide, to be or not to be, and so forth, was fundamental importance. That a first rank philosophy had to do that, and wanting to have a first rank philosophy, I endeavored to do that, and I spent many years and never really stopped thinking about it, but there's a curve to it, and right there we get into something interesting. Do you suppose it was more enjoyable to start thinking about those questions, or was it more enjoyable to settle into a comfortable perspective on it? Now, there's still open questions in there. Obviously, I'm still here talking to you guys all about it. On the other hand, obviously, I've settled into some things. So I've definitely answered this question directly for myself, and this is what you're sensing. It's definitely not that I don't look at it. I specifically am in the same kind of track in that I'm a person that also was going through and thinking about these things. Now, one thing I noticed is I always have felt that I had some influence over my desires. They can't change overnight, but I've talked about this before. But for example, as I came into puberty, I found I had a Hollywood Playboy airbrush concept of female beauty, and being also activist and disgusted with fakeness, all mixed together, that didn't appeal to me to discover this about myself, that I didn't even know that I had these, that I was habituated or whatever to certain certain conceptions of beauty. And so yeah, I was able to change myself. For one thing, this conception of airbrush beauty in real life, it means makeup, and up close the makeup breaks down and becomes an uglifying thing, and the makeup doesn't stay in place, and you can see the grains, and you can, even good makeup gets out of place, and I learned to have an appreciation for what real women look like, and in the end, it's amazingly broad, the kinds of beauty I now appreciate, and how I recognize and really feel beauty even in cases where I'm not personally attracted because of the subjective part, right? And this is the basic key. I think that you and I had the same data, but I took it in a different direction, or you just haven't got there yet, or who knows which it'll be of those. But basically, some many pleasures are short-lived, but they're not all short-lived. Like you asked me recently, what kind of drink do I drink, or do I prefer? I mean, I haven't really been drinking any scotch, but I like scotch. That's an acquired taste. These are things that you have to suspend your judgment long enough to give these things a chance. And this is how I feel, and I really feel this is a strong thing relating to this subject, specifically the form of it that you and I have discussed, the kind of antinatalism you and I discussed, really life issues and reason to live, will to live, things like this, is that I like things that are of acquired taste. They tend to be longer lasting, so I look for those things. Two, I do not believe putting much stock in first impressions. From what I know of statistics, a first impression, how much stock we put in, is totally mathematically and materially unjustified. And so I've even found when I was younger sort of an unconscious urge to ruin first impressions, just because I found it's worse when you go in really all rock star and people are like, wow, you're a rock star, and then all their expectations, and they want to get something from you, and it's just like, it actually doesn't turn out too good. Sure, they're all going, you're great, yeah, because they want something, and so on and so forth. It's a little bit better to just give some more rough, or to be more sloppy, or something that just triggers them to the shallower people to not get a first impression. Now, it also triggers deeper people to get that impression. It's just different because The shallow people put you in that category and you stay there. So it's a way to get popped into that category for a certain kind of thinker. Well, meanwhile, Barklord might be going the same thing. Oh, well, that was rude. Why is he so rude the first time he sees me? And in a first impression that isn't really a whole capturing of me, but just a facet. And he will get 100 impressions before he thinks he's got some sort of an idea. And so, in the second step is, again, the being an acquired taste, how to be an acquired taste. So learning how to appreciate and acquire tastes, as well as learning how to be an acquired taste. I mean, that's basically the formula for someone that wants to live passionately. I think the way you're asking this question, you're not just the kind of person that needs to just settle and say, well, life's good enough and I'll just live my, I'll have tea every day. You've got to pursue more of the, the macho, the Hemingways and Steinbeck, or even wouldn't recommend it, but a little bit of Jack Kerouac and Hunter S. Thompson in there. You need to, go out and live life. You have to be, for you to be convinced that life's worthwhile, I don't think a net positive is enough. You want it to be some amazing thing and that not to be painful. Well, I mean, I'm a person of everything in moderation, including extremes, so I believe in some extremes in moderation, and it's all about functionality in life. And I don't see the thrill of burning out like a shooting star, but a lot of people do. And you need to figure out where you are, and the best way to do that and to let your intellect in is to figure out how to acquire tastes. How can you acquire tastes? I mean, isn't there anything? It's like, oh, I like blonde boys, but they're such pricks. I wish I liked redheads or whatever. You can acquire these tastes, and people think it's fake, like to acquire tastes. Well, no, but that's not what I really wanted. What I really wanted was a random thing of dice, and I hate my DNA, but I have to follow it. What? I've been accused of worshiping the DNA so many times, but I consider it a friendly adversarial relationship. I mean, I recognize there are things the DNA wants and gives me that as an individual I might want to think twice, but guess what? The DNA also, quote unquote, gave me a brain able to do that. So let's do all of that. Let's get everything turning, let's get all the functionality going. Your version of all the cognitive powers going at once in a system, and see how that suits you. But if you don't discover that it's more than honest, it's empowering, it's true willpower to learn how to acquire taste. And often, I feel that humans and animals are almost, pretty much day to day, very much automatic in the way that the determinists would think of us. But that our moments of lucidity are spread out during that, and there's also intense moments of lucidity. And these moments, often all we can really do is work on acquiring taste, to get a taste for one thing rather than another. We do it automatically, right? Like, I tasted that and it was bitter. Now my taste for blue candy is, not so strong, and I'm starting to like green candy. It's reactive. It doesn't have to be like unconscious to be wise. Quite the opposite, right? So, I'm not offering this as advice. I'm simply telling you, yes, I've thought these questions through, and that's what I found out. I found out, look, there's a lot of tastes I don't want to abide, needs I don't want to abide. But I always felt that if there's something in my mind that, well, not always, but as a result of answering this question, to be or not to be, if there's something in my life that makes the world unbearable, that I will see if I can dwell on that and fix it, my mind, so that the world is bearable. And if I couldn't do that, then there's all kinds of options. One is lowering of standards, or you could consider it a forced lowering of standards, but it's not forced. A lowering of standards versus not going on living. And we have time. There's time. Things play out over time, so there's plenty of time to make that decision. when the questions seem to become pressing. And in the meanwhile, I can acquire tastes, and I can work on becoming an acquired taste, which protects me from certain kinds of psychological interactions, and it works really rather well. So okay, I gotta get back to work.